it's sunny and it's TOA time. My name is Felice and I'm here with Mona, CEO and founder of FluxFM. Welcome, nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, I'm happy.
Most of us from Berlin know FluxFM from the radio, but that's not all that you guys are doing. What are you guys up to right now?
The funny thing is, FluxFM is based in the epicenter of the global music scene right now. This is what Berlin stands for. And FluxFM as a radio station stands for curating and showcasing new music. So far, so good. But the new exciting project that we're just developing and launching is called Flux Music. Flux Music is a platform, an app for curated radio stations. At the moment, we have 15 curated radio stations, and in September it will be 30 curated radio stations.
How is it different from every other channel then? Because actually everybody could just go ahead and have more different channels, one that is more in classic music and more in techno music. How is that different from what you guys are doing right now?
The interesting thing is like the private radio stations in Germany, they're actually not focusing on that. They're still following the old business model of like earning money through advertising and just collecting the best listenership, listening to mainstream, and they all have a rotation of maybe 200 songs. Yeah, so they don't focus on that. Spotify focuses on playlists, curated playlists, but not on radio stations and on the radio programming. And the exciting thing about the way we do radio is that we do a daily programming that is fresh, that's consistent, where the music is curated not by algorithms but by humans, by experts. And so the aim for FluxFM always was to be the trusted filter, like a brand that stands for curating music. And FluxFM, that's our goal, should be the brand nationwide that stands for curated radio stations, that kind of gives you a choice of stations tailor-made for your mood of the day and or your liking in music. Just to give you an example, we have at the moment Moby's curated vegan radio. So Moby compiled a playlist, and we are showcasing it together with some statements from him. And when you're chilling out at home or you do your yoga class, you tune into our station. But at the same time, we also have like radio stations just showcasing the club scene in Berlin. 7 different stations that introduce the music scene here in Berlin, in the club scene, but also expanding to hip-hop. And the philosophy behind it is that we say, like, everyone loves music, everyone is consuming music every day, but there's different moods and situations where you want music in a different way in your life. If you go to a concert, fair enough, you go and see the show.
You know what you want.
You know what you want. If you wake up in the morning, you want the classic FM, maybe, talking about the weather, whatever's happening. But then there's times in the day where you say, where you're by yourself and you kind of lean forward, you want to find out about music, new music, and you have the time. And then you should switch into our music discovery station and see, like, Flux Forward, what's happening there. In the evening, let's say you invite friends, you don't want to be talked to, you just want a chill out music background that is, tasteful. And our job is to compile these radio stations every day new, so that if you're a music lover, you have a consistency, a reliability.
All right, so I can also pick between programs where I would have the news or traffic even, or is it not that up to date? Because that is actually something that is, I love radio because I love the idea that I don't have to take care of music because I don't have any taste at all. Someone else playing the music, I just have to stand under the shower, telling me what kind of weather I have to expect, the traffic, the news, and all that. Is that still, is there a way to put that information into your program directly, or is that not possible?
I think it's important to have that the listener has a choice. Mm-hmm. At the moment, we compile everything so that there's programs, they have news, they have all the reports, they have the classic radio feel. Mm-hmm. There's other channels that have less of that, just because in a certain time you don't want that.
All right, that makes sense. It's kind of surprising because everybody's talking about the old media dying. Obviously, the two of us agree that radio is still a thing out there and people like the human touch. But how is the radio industry doing right now?
thank God, you know, the radio industry is still just focusing on the classic way of doing radio, whereas, you know, our goal is to see like, hey, who's 14 now will never, until the end of his life, buy a radio, you know, as a gadget or so. They all listen through it to the smartphone. So the radio industry is not catering to the development of the media consumption of the next generation, especially the generation millennium. So actually what we're doing is with Flux Music making an offer for the generation smartphone, so that people actually listen to it when they're mobile, yeah, and I think we rely on the fact that the media data packages will be bigger, and so, you know, Flux Music is your companion when you travel through the day.
But that, like, an app is something that probably most of the other radio stations also have, but I do see your point in how you curate and have different items to different situations. When can we expect it to be launching?
So the app has already been launched at the moment with 15 radio stations called Flux Music, and in September it will be 30 stations, and I'm sure, you know, whoever is checking it out will find something.
Who would be your biggest competitor? Because I understand the point that others are not maybe even capable of doing it from the capacity. That would also interest me, how many people you have on board. But apart from that, who is your competitor out there who maybe does something similar or that inspired you to do what you're doing now?
So we did our research properly. Of course, you know, we don't want to be compared with Spotify and Apple because it's a different means of using it. It's global global companies. But we have found exactly the triangle where people want curation, they want radio, the feeling of radio, but they want the local language as well. So at the moment we have 1.7 million unique listening sessions, which is a good start, and our game is, our objective will be 6 million in 1 year's time. All right. So there's no actual competition from the private radio stations, and our competition will be, let's say, if Spotify would, which I hope they won't do, like, you know, hire all our people and do radio stations themselves.
Well, they started out with podcasts now. Böhmi and Schulz moved over to them. Do you think that that is something that they would consider becoming more and more like a radio station because they understand that the human point is missing?
Yeah, I'm sure that there's smart people on board who just, I'm sure, will develop everything as consumer friendly as possible. You know, the podcast with Schulz and Böhmermann, I think is great, but from people listening to it, they kind of miss that there's no music in between. Yeah. So, you know, I think there's a learned way of how you want to be entertained and how you want to have personalities in your life, in audio. And that is something that Spotify at the moment has not embraced. And the context that radio or Flux Music can provide is the unique selling point, I would say.
All right. How many people are working on the project right now?
Altogether, it's 15, so it's quite a dedicated team. The music programming team is the largest part. Then we, of course, we have production, we have hosts that we need to be coordinated, and so it's quite an enterprise. But altogether, Flux Music, it's 50 people now.
All right. And my very last question, and then I'm going to let you go and enjoy the TOA. How long is each and every music session? Because the radio starts pretty much when I wake up at 7 in the morning. Well, in Berlin, probably at 10. However, and starts in the middle of the night. Even worse in Berlin. Is the chill or the like all of these different topics 7 hours long, or how long can I expect one to be?
So, and this is the best message for you, it's 24-hour fresh every day. It's not a segment, it's not like a repeat of a slot.
All right,
so it's like you need to see like a zipper that is put together every day new. So that's the good news. Any given time of the day, in any channel, we have new music and it will be fresh every 24 hours.
Definitely, we'll look into it. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us in our studio. And I see you hopefully next year at TOA17.